Mark Skaar with Jeff Angell. Jeff, how you doing?
Fantastic. How are you, Mark?
Well, I'm doing good, thank you. It's good to talk to you. It's been, I think since 2012, since Walking Papers came out.
Wow. That's 2012. That'd be the first version.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's right. And now you're about to unleash Jeff Angell's Staticland.
Yeah, that's a mouthful of marbles right there, isn't it?
So where did Staticland come from, first of all?
Well, I have this thing, I think finding a good band name is a lot like a cop. It's like there's never really one around when you need it. It's so, I don't know, we wanted something that sounded like a novel or like a TV mini-series or something like that. Any good story, you have to establish a setting first. So that's where we kind of, started putting words together and see what we came up with. And we kind of liked that. We thought it kind of had like a David Lynch feel to it, That's
exactly who I was going to say, actually. That's what I thought, too. And so a self-titled record coming out May 20th, and it's going to be out on all the usual places and on vinyl.
Yeah. I love the vinyl. You get to design some fun stuff when you put that together.
All right. So, and there's I think you told me a total of 17 songs for this project?
Yeah, there's the CD comes with 13 songs. I think and then the vinyl comes with 15 songs with 2 songs, a digital download for 17 songs. So we actually did, I think, 22 songs. But we held a couple back because we'll probably use them on another record or something at some time. But we just kind of exploded creatively, so it was a lot of fun to put it down. But a lot of fun to put it down and a lot of hassle to try to decide what was going to be on the record and what wasn't. So that kind of. I'm really excited about it. I think there's a lot of stuff there that'll be it's a diverse amount of material, and a lot of times I feel like people sometimes it's too much to digest for a certain person, but with the vinyl it's a little bit different like that because you could kind of take one side at a time.
Right, exactly. So you're always clever with words. What are these songs about? I assume we've got a wide range of topics.
There is a wide range of topics. There's a couple things in there. It seems like the underlying theme is kind of a really positive thing, but usually I kind of got a dark sense of humor, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's funny is I consider myself a positive person, but a lot of people, I focus on the negative because I'm focusing on the negative to see what we can do about it,
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not too much of sitting around patting on the back, validating the positives. I'm more of like, hey, let's fix that problem over there and move on. And this record is very much about moving on, and and I think it, a lot to do from jumping from one band to another, and a lot of like kind of nothing you could do about things that have already happened, and kind of move forward. I also had a few, a lot of first time I've been writing about some dreams. I've always kept like a dream journal. So
okay.
I have some crazy dream imagery and stuff that I've been kind of tapping into because sometimes it's so just kind of describing the dreams, but not leaving that to other people's interpretation of what they're about.
Sure.
And then there's a couple stories in there too, a couple characters, a lot going on in there.
I'm going to throw out a couple of song titles, and we can vaguely talk about them because, like you say, interpretation is in the ear of the beholder or the mind of the beholder, perhaps. Band-Aid on a Bullet Hole.
Yeah. That song's very much from dreams, but it's also kind of a song about, if you ever know those people in life that are kind of fixers, you got the ladies that are always kind of holding on to some guy going, or vice versa. That's like, they're going to fix them up. So it's kind of about that. And there's a lot of that going on in that song. Someone but some people are not fixable. So that's kind of what's going on in that song.
Yeah, the Cure
Man,
or
I'm
the
glad
Curse?
you asked me that question because I'm not sure I knew what it was about until just now.
The Cure or the Curse is another cool title.
Yeah, I think that sometimes you can't tell the difference, can you?
No.
You know, I think that there was some ideas for that. That, you know, my desire and my demise. You know, sometimes they're both one and the same. You know.
There is a acoustic. Some people, if they do some snooping around, they'll see acoustic version of a song called "High Score," which you told me is very different from what's on the record.
Yeah, the record version is like not at all like that. It's probably the polar opposite. But I think songs are great. Like, you know, songs are a lot like I think of songs as like living, breathing things. You know, that they should be open to change and kind of grow even after they've been recorded. You know what I mean? That's
Sure.
almost like, you know, the song recorded, that's its 15 minutes of fame is that version. But sometimes songs develop. They should be allowed to move on from there. And, you know, you might write another verse, or you might extend a part, or you might decide, hey, we're going to try this in a totally different version. I mean, I hate to see people butcher songs. But once that recording's there and people are familiar with that song, it's like, why not have a little bit of fun with it?
Yeah, and then you take it out live, and it's a different living, breathing animal every single night you play it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that there's definitely sometimes, you know, I would hate to see a set where someone totally butchered everything, but I definitely like seeing a band where they take a couple songs and throw a twist to them that, you know, that makes it for a more spontaneous evening.
For sure.
You know, so I enjoy that. So the version on there is, but that is, you know, to me, that's the test of a good song also. Can the song, if you strip away all the production and the bombastic drums and you take away the volume, is it still listenable? You know, is there still a melody and some lyrics in there that are still captivating in their own way? And if there is, you know, you got a quality, you know, you got a thing that can kind of stand up. Because if it doesn't have that, is it worth putting all that other stuff on it? I don't know. Not my opinion.
We're talking to Jeff Angell about Staticland, and yeah, we've talked a few times online, and I think you said the word bombastic when referring to the whole thing in its entirety.
Yeah, there's definitely some. It's rattling some cages in there. I always like the dynamics, man. Don't the best bands in the world all kind of have that? You know, if you take the Stones or Zeppelin or, you know, or the Doors or even the Beatles or something like that, all those bands really, although, I mean, they take some different turns and take a listener, you know, they kind of got to follow whatever they're interested in at the time. Not to take anything away from AC/DC or the Ramones that kind of have their trick and they stick to it because you know what you're going to get, and I like that, but I also like, you know, bands that are aren't afraid to take some chances and, you know, makes for a better juxtaposition between the, you know, the heavy and the soft and the, you know, the angry and the sentimental, you know.
For sure. Talk to me about working with Vance Powell.
Wow. The character. Well, I think that, you know, they gave me a budget to do this thing, and I've been making records kind of myself. I mean, we work with some people, but usually, you know, even if I went into the studio, I'd usually take the recordings home and then, you know, do like maybe we go in there and do lay down the live take, and then I come home and do the vocals and the harmonies and any overdubs and stuff. But this time we made the whole record there and pretty live, but they said, who do you want to record with? And Vance Powell was my number one choice. I like the work that he did with the Dead Weather and Jack White and C6 Steve. It's just all really like, I really think he has found a way to marry the soul of those retro records that everybody likes, but then with the attack and clarity that modern recordings have. And he just seems to be, in my opinion, the best guy in the business. And, you know, he's won a Grammy for Engineer of the Year just a few years back. So it's like, I mean, he really is, not only by the industry, but by my own listening standards, he's the guy. So I asked if I could get him, and our manager snooped him out and sold him on the deal and made it something that we could afford. So we got to go down there and work with him in his studio in Nashville. And, you know, we did it top to bottom down there right in his room, and eye-opening. You know, the way that he does it, it's like you think you're listening to this awesome guitar tone and you're thinking it's some fancy, you know, super fancy amp, but instead it's a garage sale amp turned up to 10 that's got an 8-inch speaker, but it sounds like it's going to blow up, and he finds a way to record that clearly, you know. And then other times you might be using a really nice amp for something else that you know, you're looking for these different things. And, you know, he'll take the drums. He's got drums in there from like the 30s, like kick drums from old jazz kits, and he'll switch out the kick drum for each individual song. And then he'll take all the drums and run them, you know, instead of running them through some, you know, you think it's like some $1 million console. Instead, he's running it through a $30 distortion pedal. You know what I mean? And then he just has a way of, like, really adventurous. And tons of stories too. That guy, he get all the dirt on, you know, all the people that he's worked with, because he's an older guy, mostly through country. He was the head engineer at Blackbird Studios for decades, which is like one of the nicest studios in the world. You know, so he's got stories on, you know, everybody from Buddy Guy to Bob Dylan to, you know, it's just like, you know, and then of course the stuff he did with Jack White and all those people, and Keith Richards and Willie Nelson. You know, he's got a story on everybody, so it's hard to get anything done because you're kind of like, man, I just want to hear some more stories from Mr. Van's pal over there. You know, so he's quite a character, and just an unbelievable engineer. It's like just really raised the bar to a whole nother level.
Now you're on.
I suggested there's a lot of people making their own records these days, but there's still, you know, and that's great. If you want to, you know, these days you're wearing a lot of hats as a musician or as a graphic artist and this and that, but there's something to be said to someone that spent, you know, 30 years doing one thing and perfecting it, you know, and to dabble in that and think that you're going to have, you know, you're going to buy some plug-in that's going to give you that experience is just, you know, just, it's not even close. So I think people hear it in the recording. It's pretty, I feel really confident that it's about as good as a rock recording can sound, you know.
Again, we're talking to Jeff Angell about Staticland, and you mentioned the record label giving you a budget. The record label is UDR, and you told me, Jeff, that they really gave you carte blanche to do what you wanted to do.
Yeah, they didn't. With the stuff with Walking Papers, I didn't even have to really give them a song. They were just like, all right, we like that stuff. We believe in what you're doing. Go give us a record. And I don't know if it's because I get distracted, but I never even turned in a demo. I just handed them the whole record, and I said, here it is. And they were cool with it. So I think they were pretty excited with what they got. But I love never show a work in progress. Never do. You don't want to do that.
Well, that's pretty awesome. Tell me about the guys that play on the record with you.
Well, I got Ben that I played with in the Walking Papers and in the missionary position, and he's I don't know, at this point, you know, they'll be like, hey, if I'm thinking of we're kind of like one Siamese twin at this point. We kind of just do most things together, like creatively, and we got a really cool relationship because his is, he's very, I'd say he's OCD and I'm ADD. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he's really focused in on things and little details and stuff like that, to where I'm a box full of kittens. I'm running all over the place, you know, and he's able to see ideas that I might be kind of reckless with, and to follow through and make sure that those ideas get the attention that they deserve. So he's really a pleasure to work with, and I kind of, at this point, can't really imagine doing something without him. And then I got Josh Fant, who he played drums in Postpartum Depression, mm-hmm. and he played drums on the majority of the record, and I always wanted to play with him again. I used to be roommates with him, and he's a fantastic drummer. He kind of took a break from doing music because he kind of, I don't know what he's doing over there. Is he managing hedge funds, or is he or is he, you know, did he discover oil or something? Because the guy seems to do pretty good for himself, but he disappeared from music for a while. But I managed to entice him back into it. And he's playing drums, fantastic drummer, probably one of the best drummers I've ever played with. And we also had Michael Alex from the Missionary Position played on a few songs on there too. So a couple songs are like secretly Missionary Positions songs on a Staticland record. So how about that?
Talk to me about the cover art, where that came from.
I collect a bunch of old movie projectors and stuff like that. I've just always kind of I like to thrift shop. I like to scour estate sales and flea markets and that kind of thing. And at one point I was coming across all these old movie projectors and old movies and stuff, and I was like, that's kind of fun. You can show that out in your backyard and run some of these old video movies of the videos. You could tell my age there. You can run these old films of a circus or something like that, and we came across these fights of Jack Dempsey in the 1920s fighting. And so when we were doing artwork, we were just kind of like taking pictures of some of these old movies and stuff like that because it had a cool glowy quality to it. Mm-hmm. And actually what we had was a bunch of old stag movies, of like, kind of girls doing kind of burlesque dancing. And we started with that, but then we thought it might be a little cliche for rock and roll. And then we ended up with, we like the underdog quality of this guy kind of being down for the count, but you don't know, is he down or is he getting back up?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, never count a guy out. And I kind of like that idea about it more than, I don't actually look at it like he's, I'm always rooting for the guy that's losing. Are you like, I don't know how you are, but when I see if it's a football game, whatever team's down by 3 points, that's the team I'm rooting for.
Yeah, I have my favorites, but I don't like dynasties either.
Yeah. I always love the world loves a comeback. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I love a comeback. Just when someone, I don't know. It's kind of nice. When someone's on top all the time, I kind of hate them.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, screw you and your sense of, I don't know what I mean. I don't know what you would call that, but their reality that everything goes their way all the time. I don't know anyone that has that experience.
Yeah. Well, you feel like the fix is in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For
hey,
sure.
There's a song title right there.
Uh-huh. There you go. You can use that for the next record. I was also going to... Oh, yeah, and the next record could be called The Dream Journal.
Hey, you could. Hey, man, you're good at this.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Happy accidents.
Yeah.
So, I suppose the question that's on everybody's mind, and maybe I should have started with this, is what happened with Walking Papers?
Well, we made another record.
That's what I thought.
And it's really good. Mm-hmm. And see, a lot of the Walking Papers, I think people have a skewed idea of what it was in the first place, And I mean, it kind of grew some legs, so we were happy to let it run. Mm-hmm. But, Walking Papers, I made the Consequences album with the Missionary Position, and then Barrett was like, he was like, hey, man, he came in and played some percussion on that album, and then he was like, we should jam sometimes, because he was like feeling like playing some rock. So I jammed with him about 6 times, and he was like, I got some studio time booked. You want to come in? And I was like, oh, well, okay. So I went in there, and we had a couple jams that we were making up that were pretty cool, but I had a bunch of songs that were old songs of my own that I hadn't used for other records just because they didn't fit or this or that, or I didn't have the right approach. And so to his benefit, I mean, Barrett was he kind of saw some beauty in those songs that maybe I hadn't seen in a long time.
Sure.
Like any relationship over time, maybe what I liked about it at first, I faded, And so he kind of caught that spark and then was like, no, we ought to do these songs. And so I recorded those songs with him. And we made a record, and it was really quick and dirty. And then Duff added bass to a couple songs afterwards, and then we added Ben in on keys on a couple songs afterwards, just as like having some friends do it. But then we started doing some show. We did some secret show, and we asked Duff if he wanted to play, and he did. And, of course, with anybody that was in, a band of their magnitude, you start to get a lot of people focus in on what you're doing, which is cool for me because it got me a lot of exposure. But I don't know that from the beginning, we didn't think it was going to be some long-term thing, and then we kept getting all these opportunities, and then we decided, hey, let's go for this thing, and then we did, and then we made another record together. But when you're playing with those kind of people and they come in and they add, if you got Duff or something, it's like it really wasn't his, it was my investment. I had all the time invested in this and that, and it's like, he has other things drawing him in different directions and whatever, so it's like it got to where it was too hard to like if you got like a thing going on like this Guns N' Roses thing and this and that, it's like I got to have it, I don't want my all of a sudden I'm out playing all these shows, even before Walking Papers playing 100 shows plus a year, and then all of a sudden you're sitting on idle all the time waiting for other people to sort their thing out, so I just had to do something else to keep myself busy.
Sure.
So there's a second Walking Papers record that's done, but when it comes out, and whether we'll be able to pursue the record or not, it's all going to be depending on what everybody has going on in their lives at the time.
Timing.
Yeah, and it's also times too. It's like you get that kind of thing. It's not like you're people that were all invested in the same thing from the get-go in the first place. So it was kind of a weird situation. But I'm grateful for all for the attention that he brought to the stuff that that I was doing, and he's always been cool like that. He always kind of shines a light on different bands and different artists that are doing their thing. If you read an interview with him, he's always talking about someone else's record rather than his own, which I think is a good quality.
Absolutely. I agree, and he does do that. So Staticland Live, I'm sure you're thinking about that too, looking forward.
Yeah, we haven't even played a show yet, so we're pretty excited about that. I'm answering the door in my underwear over here. I'm on the phone, walking around the house, letting the dog in and out. I'm a pacer, man. If I'm doing an interview, I got to pace.
I'm the same way. I pace on the phone, but you're a multitasker. That's good.
Yeah, spinning plates always.
There you go.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. We haven't played live yet. Our first show will be in Nottingham on the day our record comes out.
Oh, nice.
And this day, man, they got all these people these days that's like with their camera shoved in your face and this and that. And thank God they do, because I get to see so many fun things out there that I wouldn't. But there's the other side of that too, is that to where things get unleashed before they've had a chance to marinate.
Yes.
You can't take it out of the oven too soon, and the cake will collapse.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of been keeping it really under wraps. We haven't done any shows, and we're starting out the day the record comes out to kind of keep all those songs fresh and exciting for everybody. And I've always wanted to do that, like really pull the arrow back before we let it fly, And so I think this time we got a lot of exciting things coming up with some videos and all. And the record, like I said, there's 17 songs on there, and there's also some working with some dudes about a graphic novel that they're going to do to a song, to the characters on the song, and just a bunch of cool little things like this going on. And I know a lot of what it's going to be, but I can't wait for people to see it.
Nice, a little mystery.
Yeah, and this is the longest I've ever gone without playing a show since I was 14. So I'm pretty eager to get back out there.
Wow, yeah. Street date is May 20th, ladies and gentlemen, UDR Records. Jeff Angell's Staticland. What's happening with the Flat 5?
Oh, man, not a lot over there. That was a lot of fun, but keeping the Flat 5 turned into the Flat 7, and it was hard to keep everybody together all the time. I think I was the worst because I would be going on tour and this and that all the time, and then doing that, I was kind of leaving those guys behind without being able to get together and practice. And when you're doing all that old soul music and stuff, it's kind of, you got to keep up on your chops. So I don't know, at any moment someone might decide they want to do a gig, and I'm always happy to go do that stuff because it's really a pleasure to sing Candy Stanton and Wilson Pickett and all those kind of guys. It's good stuff.
Yeah, if people have not checked out the Flat 5, there's YouTube stuff, and it's pretty cool. That's how I discovered it. So.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
I dig it. That was a lot of fun. Hey, I appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, my pleasure. For Jeff Angell, I'm Mark Skaar.